Greetings, YouTube. Excuse the lighting, but I know how you folks love Mandarin. I'm going to link to a National Geographic page, and I really implore you to go look at it because it's not going to make a lot of sense from this point on unless you see the images on this page. It's a map of the world and what it would look like if all the ice on the planet were to melt. So please, pause this, go look at that, and then come back, because otherwise it's not going to make a lot of sense. I will try to continue on, however, regardless of whether you look at the image or not, because I have no control over what you do. So if all the ice melts, the water level will raise 216 feet. I didn't convert that to meters, I apologize. And that's a really hard thing to do. The information on the page says that it would take approximately 5,000 years for all the ice to melt, and I think that in that time we would have found solutions to our problem or wiped ourselves out so that the level of greenhouse gases being dumped into the atmosphere would have leveled off and then fallen. So I think it's very unlikely that all of this can actually happen. But, pardon me, we're going to just speculate and say, yes, it does. That maybe it happens faster than this, who knows. So we're just going to look at the situation as it is, as all the ice is gone. Now, the most interesting of these maps for me is Antarctica, because under Antarctica is land, and that land would then be exposed if all the ice melted, even though that's pretty much impossible and it's never going to happen. And the ice on land that melts is the important ice. For example, in 2014, I think it was, there was more ice on the ocean in Antarctica, and all the global climate change deniers were going, ah, see, you people, it's wrong, global ice is increasing. Well, no, sea ice has zero effect on the ocean levels. It doesn't affect it at all. Just as if you put ice into a glass of water and the ice melts, the water stays the same level. Ice is ice. Water is water. They're equivalent to each other. It's just not going to happen. The ice that's on the land, when it melts, that's a problem. And the ice in parts of Antarctica is melting and leaving. Other parts, because there's now increased moisture in the atmosphere, that seems to be holding its own, for at least now at the moment. That may change. We're losing glaciers in the northern hemisphere. We're losing glaciers, and we're losing permanent ice that was in mountain ranges, and it looks like we're losing some of the permafrost in places like Russia and things like that. And this is bad, because without that permafrost, there's going to be a lot of problems ecologically for the life in those areas. But if you look at the map, and it shows the different zones that exist, and it's an odd map because like there's the slider keeps going to the side, but there's nothing there. It's like blank. I don't know if the page is just so old it's not working any longer properly, but regardless, for a lot of people watching this, you're going to be in North America, so you're going to be all excited about this. And there's a whole lot of places in North America, if you're on a coast, there's going to be a lot less habitable land. The coastline is going to move in a lot. Florida is gone. Gone. Just not there anymore. A lot of the islands are going to be gone. Africa seems to fare fairly well. Europe doesn't do too badly. Now, why do I bring all of this up? Well, I bring this up for a couple of reasons. There was a novel that someone mentioned to me recently, and Just Kiss My Frog, I think, was talking about it. And she was talking about this post-apocalyptic setting that was being put forth in the book, and all the land that's left in the world are islands. And the people who live in the islands are the most privileged, and those who live in the boats are less privileged. And of course, it's a novel about classism. And having islands of land is a really great way of reinforcing the concept of classism. The problem is, that's never going to happen. We are never going to get Waterworld. Just never going to happen. Go look at these maps, folks. There's going to be plenty of land. There's going to be plenty of land forever. The problem is, a lot of that land is going to be uninhabitable for humans. Now, some life will adapt, and then some life will move in to these different zones as the temperatures change. But humans are going to have a really hard time living in this world, because the current average temperature of Earth is, I believe, 56 degrees or 58 degrees Fahrenheit. In this scenario, it would be 80 degrees. You're thinking, oh, that's only like 14 degrees. That's a big difference, because that's an average. 56 degrees is an average. So think of the highest temperature you can imagine, think of the lowest temperature you can imagine, and 56 degrees is the average. So imagine if you're bumping that up 14 degrees, those highs and lows are going to get much worse. And the equator is just uninhabitable. It's just no humans are going to be able to live there. Antarctica would probably be the most pleasant real estate on the planet, and will probably be controlled by the wealthy. And again, this is all fantasy, because again, the possibility of all the ice melting is pretty much zero. I think we will solve our current problems. I believe that we are in a bottleneck, and we will come out the other side. I don't believe it's going to be endgame for us. I believe that we can make it through this, through the use of alternative energies, nuclear energy, fusion energy, hopefully sometime in the future. I think we can pull this off. I just think that we have to start working together, and we're doing that very poorly. But we're never going to have Waterworld. And that novel I mentioned, its name escapes me, is never going to have a setting where there's hundreds of little islands and that's all the land that's left. That isn't going to ever happen. Now, Waterworld, the film, is a wonderful fable of ecological disaster, of ecological collapse. As a fable, if you want to look at it the same way as to look at the movie Wizards, it's a lot of fun. But don't for a heartbeat look at it as science fiction or speculative fiction, because it isn't. It's just a fable. It just kind of looks like science fiction, so everybody labels it that way, but it isn't. There's nothing scientific, there's nothing really truly speculative about that. So even if all the ice were gone, you still have lots and lots of land, and since the human population will be much, much smaller, people per square mile or square kilometer is going to be much less dense than we have now. Of course, the habitable zones will be fewer as well, so things could be intriguing. Now, I'm not saying there aren't going to be people living in boats. I think that would be a smart thing to do, particularly the weather pattern is going to be really horrible. Being out in an ocean in a large structure that floats may be a safe option. Also, people living in underground bunkers, and people living under the ocean in ecologies, I think so, and arcologies on the surface. They are going to become real things. So if you're going to want to put forth a world of no ice, I think those are where the safe bets are going to be. People living underground, living under the ocean, living in large megastructures on the surface, living in Antarctica. These are all options. Of course, living off the Earth in orbital habitats around Earth, the L5 station, Moon, Mars, numerous places that they could be in the asteroid belt or the Oort cloud, in habitats floating around the gas giants, because you can harvest the volatile chemicals of the giants themselves. So there's lots of options for humanity. We are not going to wipe ourselves out, I don't believe. It's just going to be very unpleasant for a very long time, particularly if we don't cooperate. So there you have it, folks. My thoughts on the fact that there's never going to be a water world. There's never going to be an island Earth, in the sense of little dots of land with huge swaths of ocean between them. It's just never going to happen. And I wanted to take the opportunity to make a video while one of my favorite people here, Mandarin, was here to visit. I know how much you folks love Mandarin, because she is adorable, isn't she? She is so cute. Yes, she is. Oh yeah, purring away. So tell me, what would you do, and how would you use the world in these maps in a campaign? If this was the world you were given, world with no ice, we could, the time period doesn't matter, we can just play with that. So you're talking humans are around, technology's a little more advanced than we have now. It isn't super science, but we're not full gravity age. But you've got better robotics and better, maybe some energy weapons, but they're limited, that kind of thing. So what would you do in this kind of a setting?